A key to a warm, stable sound is a stable bow. So in other words, we need to vibrate with our left, but not vibrate with our right. So a lot of people are complaining about trembling, the tremble bow, when they're performing as stage anxiety. But we're not going to talk about that. That's a huge subject. And sometimes that's not the problem. Many people hide behind this problem. You need to listen carefully and see if you're trembling in your practice room. And then there could be several reasons why this is happening. We're going to isolate 4 of those reasons on this part 1 of the video. So your first main reason for trembling is if you flex your arm too hard, if you're holding the bow too hard. That is happening across. If that is happening across as you play, it's usually that you're holding with too much muscle, and you need to just. Okay, you don't see it, but I'm not holding it so hard. It's usually extra strength that making us just spasm because the muscle is tired. The second thing is not adjusting for weight. This is a much more complex problem, but basically, if you look at the bow, your bow has much more weight on the frog, you call it, and the tip is much lighter. And you need, as you play, to adjust the weight of your arm. You need to slowly release weight towards the tip, and then release weight towards the frog. So if you don't do it and you just stay, basically your bow becomes lighter, loses traction with the string, and it start to flutter. Okay, so you can have that. Again, this is also to do with tension with your shoulder. And the same thing that I talked about before, is just trying to relax is maybe the wrong word, but that's the closest one you have. Relax into the bow and put weight into the bow as you move, and adjust it and use your ear very carefully. The third one is one of my favorite, is the snappy bow change. And I see many people when they change, especially here, but it can also be like just before they kind of like snap the bow. Now the bow is made to bounce. I mean, there's tension, hair and tension in the wood. So if you let it, the bow is just gonna bounce all over the place. And when you are changing really quickly and you're snapping your wrist, actually there is a whole ricochet technique that is basically based on is the snapping. And the snapping can be either this kind of a snap or this kind of a snap, which is really destabilizing. So I mean, if you feel that you are losing control around the edges, try to first of all avoid this extra. Oh, I'm pushing it. I'm going down, but I'm basically doing a big snap up. Try to avoid that and use much more your arm movement. Now I know there are different techniques and different styles. Some of them are, very active with the palm of the hand. I'm much more an arm movement guy, but this can be done if you're careful, if you're not just over snappy. So be careful. This is really a lot of people have that kind of destabilizing the bow just because you're throwing too much strength all over the place in the bow changes. And another one is landing from the air. Now the bow is made to jump, right? And so if I bring the bow down and I'm landing, then that can happen a lot in the bow. And even on a small, much more subtle stage, when you're playing and you hear that there's not enough weight, and I basically move without placing the bow on the string.